All right, so this will be an Auto Club preview for the Lease the Cup series. I have several things that I want to say, and I'm not necessarily sure what I want to show on the screen, just because I'm gonna be bouncing back and forth between a lot. I was doing a NASCAR pit analysis or pit data analysis based on the Daytona race. Really just an early estimate. I was going to compare just what we saw in the first pit stops compared to what we were seeing last year and everything. And even during the time, I was like, well, man, maybe I need to wait until we at least get Auto Club so we can at least have more. But screw it, I'll dive into it anyway. And um, I went on YouTube to pull up one of the pit stops, like pretty much the first pit stop where everybody went under yellow, and I saw that Pierce had just uploaded a pit stop video, and the world needs a lot of things, but it does not need two videos going over Daytona pit stop data. So I'm not doing that. I would encourage you to watch his. I would also encourage you to look at everything he's already put out this week for Fontana. This is one where Pierce is going to be both invested in on a time standpoint and financial. I have not seen Pierce this excited entering a Cup weekend in forever. But look, not only do we have that pit stop data that I advise you check out, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. That's Daytona. So we have 3, Fontana preview videos. I'm pretty sure he did an early one last week as well. And I also have mine that I did before we got the Speed Weeks, focusing on Auto Club, kind of going over the 2020 race just as a refresher. I have since I've made that, I've watched that one. I've watched the 2019. I've watched 2018. Watched 2017 race. I'm also leaning towards this car racing similar to the Gen 6. I'm leaning towards that way to get an idea of how I truly believe the race is going to play out. Does that mean this is going to be an identical race to the Gen 6 or to the Gen 4? No. But for an example, I was watching just yesterday. I finished 2007 Auto Club race, the 2006 Auto Club race, and I was looking at 2005. As I just said, that does not mean it's going to race exactly like that, because that asphalt was less than 10 years old at that point. In 2007, that asphalt was only 10 years old at that point. And so you saw Stewart running the bottom, which we're going to see guys running the bottom in general. You'll see guys either running the bottom, certainly out of turn 3 and 4, and then most likely run the top in 1 and 2, or just, running the top during the certain portion of the race, running the bottom. Either way, there's a lot of grooves out there. That is not what I'm meaning when I'm like looking at those races and seeing how those races played out. I'm looking at those races to get a sense of how I think the draft is going to work here, to get an idea of how I truly believe that the restarts are going to work out in this race. I was looking specifically at the 2018 and 2017 races here, because I think that lends a lot of pointers focusing on people who performed well in that race, like Kyle Larson. I think Larson is going to be a huge favorite entering this week, not only with his crew chief, the practice that we're going to have. This is a racetrack that leans towards Kyle Larson, but I really believe that guys who performed well in 2017 and in 2018 are going to be the guys that perform well this weekend, since we're bumping up the horsepower a little bit, since we're bringing down the downforce a little bit. I still think you can look at 2020. I still think that data is relevant, and I do believe that data is relevant in a sense that if we do not have a late race yellow, which we nearly had it in 2020 with Blaney, losing the tire, pitting, it could have gone a different way. We had Boyer bringing out a yellow in that race as well in 2020, but the race pretty much went green in the final stage. If it goes green, I think it plays out similar to 2020 in terms of where, not drivers, see, this is what I mean, I'm all over the place. Not in terms of how drivers perform, but in if you replace all the driver names in 2020 with driver A, B, C, D, and if it goes green this Sunday, I think it's going to finish pretty much the same way in terms of intervals in between cars, in terms of how many guys are going to be trapped a lap down, or how many guys are going to get past, and how the field's going to spread out, and things of that nature. I also want to look at what they're doing to the track here this week, and I got distracted on Twitter trying to find this. That's why I paused it in case the video was jerky or whatever. So entering Fontana, I mean, I believe that the gap between the drivers who are good in tire wear events and the drivers who aren't did get shrunken a little bit because they are using the resin, not PJ1. I'm gonna call it fucking PJ1. I don't care. But they're spraying resin down on the track because they hadn't had cars run here in 2 years. They're also running the Tire Dragon. I have not seen any pictures of the track yet. And that's mainly what I was looking for earlier today, but of course nobody really posts pictures on Wednesday, despite the fact it'd probably be good data to have right now, or good things to just share. So I haven't seen exactly. Let me see if I can find it right fast. Give me a second here. Yeah, I can't find a picture. I doubt we're even going to get a picture, probably up until everybody actually gets to the track because nobody's actually there. But so they're spraying that down, and because of that, I do believe that wherever they end up spraying it, which they should, I think ideally here they should do it all over the track. I'm hoping that they don't choose one or the other lanes because both lanes can be dominant here. If you set a car up for that. So I'm hoping that they'll just treat the entire track from top to bottom in the corners. So that's a bit of a, I think that narrows the gap between people like, Blaney, Bowman, Larson, and guys like that had entering this as an advantage. Another thing is that they're grinding down the bumps down the back straightaway. If you remember that there's about 3 or 4, big bumps from the center of the back straightaway to entering turn 3. I got to see. I want to see what they did. Did they just? I'm curious. I want to see the track before I really say anything there because I think that can either depend on how they grind the bumps down on the back straightaway will either provide a better entry or worsen the entry entering turn 3, and those bumps are right by the wall. And so does that make the preferred lane, lane and a half lower? If it does, that almost hurts the entries on the guys who are entering turn 3. Do you set the car up to run over the bumps that they've grinded down? Is it more of an aggressive, grind? Is it flatter? Is it like chiseled? Like what's going on? I just want to see pictures of that. On top of that, these tires are going to wear a lot more. I think we're going to see tire fall off and seconds fall off really, really fast. And so the guys that can set the car up that'll actually have the long run speed are going to be the guys who are going to be there at the end. And I think entering this week, looking at the practice session, the guys who run out there, and obviously once you feel you need to arrive to this track being comfortable. That's why last week I said that I don't think them wrecking the primaries at Daytona messes up Auto Club. I think that if that messes up any track, then it's going to be Vegas and Phoenix. But I think for most teams, they've set the car up with what they want to arrive to Auto Club with. And so hopefully entering the practice session on Saturday, the guys that go out there feel comfortable right off the bat and work on the long run speed. I know they don't have a lot of time, but I still think they're going to be practicing like crazy. The practice sessions are not just a shakedown. They are getting the data and they are getting what they want out of the car. They want to see what they have, and they're going to be paying attention to the tire fall off there. Continuing on with the tire fall off, I think it's going to be the biggest fall off we've really ever seen, at least with DFS wise. On top of that, these guys aren't running interliners, and so we need to be wary. And I don't think we'll be able to tell in practice who's going to run in this situation. That's why I'm entering right now. I'm willing to play guys that I trust are not going to blow tires, who are good at managing tire saving. Because these cars don't have interliners. Okay, this tire is gonna wear stupid fast. They're gonna be changing tires every time they go down pit road. So they don't have interliners, and so if somebody blows a tire entering 3, entering 1, that's over. It's gonna be a vicious hit because it's just gonna drop down on the rim. They're gonna fly in the wall, and these cars are not gonna survive that. Drivers might not either. On top of that, we did see, and there's nothing they can change right now, most of the cars left last night, Tuesday, heading to the West Coast. And so NASCAR is going to magically be like, okay, hey, we've updated the hub of the wheel. This is the test, and I think we're going to see tire failures with either on pit road of not being able to get the wheels on, not being able to get them on. We might see them fail under the high loads and the pressure and the speeds that they're entering these corners in, because not only are you changing tires a lot and throughout the weekend, but if you change tires every single time you head down to pit road, what do they have, 10, 12 sets of tires? That's 12 times that wheel is coming on and off. That single lug is being worked, and so that's an issue of concern. We don't have anything really pointing to that. We did see guys, last week they went in pit road, they changed tires twice under like realistic conditions, and you had Blaney's team clearly having issues with the right rear. You had Kyle Busch's team clearly having issues with the left rear. You had other teams running issue, and I believe Briscoe even went in pit road under yellow, or exiting pit road under yellow, felt that something was wrong with the car, brought it back down into pit lane before a restart, and they were like, yeah, that tire was not on correctly. That lug didn't hold everything in place. That's why I was a bit wobbly. Thank you for coming down, so we didn't lose a tire, or we didn't lose a tire coming off in that. So that's an aspect that we really can't project that I do believe is going to have a big impact there. And so entering this week, I'm trusting guys that I trust are not going to be blowing tires. I'm not really concerned about people bouncing off the wall. Yet again, that's another aspect. You're going to have guys like Reddick. You're going to have guys like Larson. You're going to have guys like, I even think Truex is going to be pretty strong running the top side here. I think Kyle Busch is going to be pretty strong on the top side as well, but you're going to have guys running against the wall on the high side. If they get in that wall hard, especially out of turn 4, I think it's going to break the suspension of those cars. And so a lot of aspects going in here that I like. See, this is why I wish we actually had real practice sessions, because I would love to just watch guys get out there. A lot of unknowns pertaining to what the guys are going to arrive to the track with. I have the guys that I like, and it's the guys that we should like, and specifically looking at finishing positions from 2018 to 2017. I think Larson's going to be strong. I think Keselowski's going to be strong. Excuse me. I was happy to see Brad Keselowski racing. Obviously, I know it's right. Did you guys see the joke that he was going around in the media center saying that they were going to call? They joked around calling the team name FKR. Fenway Keselowski Racing, but it just translates to fucker. I would have loved to see that. And if I was in that room, I would have died on that hill. I think Blaney's going to, yet again, be strong. Like I said, I think Kyle Busch is going to perform well. I think Martin Truex is going to perform well. And that's me specifically looking at the 2018 Fontana race and the 2017. I think they're going to be strong. And granted, I know it seems like I'm just listing off, track history here, but I think the starting point is Fontana 2018, Fontana 2017, and then moving at, guys who showed either the last couple of years that they can save tires or be good on tracks that are going to wear tires incredibly fast, and then moving on to guys that I think are going to have an advantage because we're back on a higher horsepower type of car, moving on a track that is going to be all over the place, that is going to, dirt track around the corner. And so there's multiple layers of why I like these guys, but these are the guys that I'm entering this weekend expecting to like entering this weekend. If they show me if, ands, or buts in practice, obviously will change, but that's where we're at. And outside of that, I think the tire situation is really interesting. I really do. And I think this race is going to be decided on tires. Do we get that late race restart, which we have seen in quite a lot of these Fontana races, to where we do have a restart within the last 20 laps? Obviously, 2020 didn't have that. But I'm going to build for this race to go green. I'm not going to build for guys worrying about them, staying out late. Guys that are going to try and get a lot of positions on restarts, because I'm fully believing that this race is probably going to go, at least end on a long run. Maybe we have a yellow coming out of stage 3, because I think that's going to be the last time. There's a lot of guys on the lead lap that shouldn't be on the lead lap, and they're going to try and gain positions there. But I do believe that this race ends in a longer run, and the guys who have had a long run car are going to be there at the end. I'm telling you, I love Larson entering this weekend, which, like everybody's going to like Larson anyway, but I'm expecting Larson to perform really, really good at this race. And man, it's a shame we're losing Auto Club because I like Auto Club way more than Michigan. Texas World Speedway was still the best 2 mile racetrack, and it's a shame that one's gone, and now we're gonna lose Auto Club. But that's where we're at there. But yeah, I'm really curious on how this car is gonna race, because if I'm leaning more towards us going back in time and kind of racing more like the Gen 4, I think the races are going to be more entertaining to watch, and I think they're going to be easier to not predict per se, but have an idea of how these races are going to go. I don't know if I'm making sense right now. As I said, I'm all over the place, and Pierce has been killing it with the content, and so I've more so been rewatching races and trying to get an idea of what I think it's going to be like at this race. Anyway, so that's the early preview for the Cup Series, and I also think my videos post qualifying are going to be more like picks videos, to where I kind of just shout off the guys that I'm interested in, because that seemed to do well for the 500. And then clearly during the live shows, really break down of why I like people, why I don't like people, the way I think line of construction is going to go if I don't touch on that in the preview videos anyway. But that's where we're at right now. In terms of Patreon, I understand if you don't want to sign up for this weekend because it'll charge you. If you sign up this week, it's gonna charge you on the first. So I think the wise thing to do here, unless you don't mind, $40 being used for 2 races this weekend, I would advise you to stay or wait until the 1st of March and then join us on Patreon and support us. But yeah, that's where we're at right now. A lot of things going on in my mind. Probably not very good in terms of actual data pinpoints and stuff, but Pierce has put out a lot of that stuff, and this is more my thoughts entering this week. That's why whenever my eyes are going crazy, it's when I'm just thinking of a lot of things that I've looked at this week. And so anyway, that's the preview video, and we'll see you in the Xfinity one and the race videos and live shows this week. So yeah.